Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News. Wednesday, May 18th already, 2022. Stand up for your country. Replacement theory is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So I'm on the radio with Sean Hannity today, and he is asking me about the tactics, political tactics that are in play these days. And I think I startled him when I said, you know, all this mud slinging from the far left and the Biden administration, including the president himself, all this mud and racist stuff and all, this is actually good for the forces of traditional rational thought. And I think that took him aback a little. We have it posted on BillO'Reilly.com, and let me tell you what I meant by that. But first, let's run down replacement theory. Okay, so this states that welcoming immigration policies, like an open border, that's pretty welcoming, come on in here, everybody, impacts the country because non-white immigrants then come in great numbers and throw off voting patterns, traditional voting patterns. That's the replacement theory. All right, now you see that in a bunch of far-right websites. There's a guy named David Lane who's a white supremacist, and he has it. And then a number of these crazy loons who kill people. Christchurch, New Zealand cited it. El Paso, Texas cited it. Poway, California, 2019. They're familiar with this replacement theory. Again, this is skin color based. All right, that's what the replacement theory is. Now, there is another, and by the way, that's heinous. So if you are participating in, we have to stop immigration, legal immigration, because of skin color, and you are disparaging poor people south of the border because of skin color, that's bad. And you know it's bad. I don't think any of my audience does that. I'd be shocked if they did. I mean, they don't want to hear me, those far-right loons. They're not going to me. Okay, there is a genuine concern about ballot harvesting. This is not replacement theory, but it is along the same lines. So the Democratic Party wants to harvest as many ballots as it can. As far as I can tell, the Republican Party is not caught up in this. All right? And if you think it is or see an example that it is, let me know. But harvesting ballots means putting in a system where there would be automatically more Democrat voters than Republican voters. Okay, so we saw this in California. When Ronald Reagan left the governorship of California in 1975, 36% of the voters in California were Republican. Guess what the number is now? 24%. So overwhelmingly, California is a Democrat state. Not so much registered Democrats, because most people in California, interestingly enough, register independent. But almost all of them lean progressive. In some cases, the Democratic Party isn't radical left enough for them. So Republicans are only 24% of the representation in the nation's largest state. That happened because of minority people moving to California. Doesn't matter what skin color they are. You got Asians in that mix. San Francisco is the most liberal city in the country. It's dominated by Asians, by Chinese. So it's not a matter of ethnicity or skin color. It's a matter of recruiting people. So how do I know this? Because it happened to my family. In the 1860s, John and James O'Reilly from County Cavan in Ireland were starving. Their mother, Rose, could not feed them because London, the Crown, had seized the O'Reilly farm. Now, I told you this story a couple of years ago when I went to visit the farm. Okay. The twin boys, 16 years old, go to Galway, and they get passage on a death ship. They call it a coffin ship because so many people died in the voyage to the United States. And their job as 16-year-old boys, they didn't have a fare, they couldn't pay, was to throw the bodies into the sea. Though you don't get worse than that outside of slavery coming to the United States. When John and James, again 16 years old, landed in Lower Manhattan, they got off the ship and the Irish Catholic community took care of them. Part of that community was the Democratic Party in New York. And immediately, they were 16, they couldn't vote, but immediately their names went on a list. And from that time until 1960, my family voted Democrat. About 100 years. Because the immigrants that came over from Ireland, the Democratic Party, swooped in, and that's what they did to all the immigrants. In Boston, in New York, in Philadelphia, this was what they did. And they built a very strong power base. It's what happened in California. California elected Ronald Reagan twice. That would never happen again today, ever in a million years. Because the Democratic Party actively recruits immigrants into it by promising them largesse from the government, entitlements. We all get it? That's not replacement theory. That's vote harvesting. Now, the subtlety of that is lost on almost everybody. I mean, it is not going to tell you what it really is about. What the progressives are going to do, because they have nothing. Every single progressive policy has failed. Every one, 100% failure rate. Everything that Joe Biden has tried to do has failed. Every single thing. So now they have to use the media, the Biden administration and the progressive left, to demonize the Republicans because they know they don't have anything to run on. Roll the tape.
Recent polls show that 50% of Republicans agree with this garbage. And not just because it's being mainstreamed by Fox News, but because it's being mainstreamed by high-ranking Republican officials like GOP conference chair and judge making a toddler cry at the talent show, Elise Stefanik.
With prominent figures on the right embracing and parroting the dangerous white nationalist conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement, it's worth noting that in addition to being deeply racist, bigoted, and dehumanizing, it's also incredibly stupid.
Okay, so that's I could give you 50 of those sound bites were national so-called comedians. They're not. They're activists. Colbert and Myers are activists. So is Kimmel. All right? They're in business to do what the liberal media wants them to do. And that's across the board. You watch HBO, you watch, the entertainment industry, almost 100% left, which is why Greg Gutfeld on Fox News is doing so well. He's the only one that isn't left. So the conservative people want that kind of entertainment, go there. Okay. So the frightening part about all of this is, and this is the end of the memo, if you're like me and you say, look, you've got to regulate immigration. You can't have millions and millions of foreign nationals pouring into the United States unattended. You've got to do it in an orderly way. We take more than 1 million foreign nationals now legally. You can't have 5 million coming across the border. Now, we're being demonized, those of us who believe that, as white supremacists. So immediately if you say, I don't want the open border, I don't want what Biden has done, then you're a white supremacist or sympathetic to the white supremacy line. It's so heinous, it's so hateful, but that's what it is, and you should know. And that's the memo. All right, so Joe Biden today went to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland to get a briefing on possible hurricanes. So why would he go to Andrews Air Force Base to get a hurricane briefing? Because his wife and daughter are taking Air Force One down to Latin America on a 6-day tour. That's why. So you got to say goodbye to Jill and Ashley. Ashley Biden, don't know much about her, 40 years old. She's an advocate for social justice. Doesn't have a job, but she's an advocate for social justice. I mean, with all the money coming in to the Biden family, no, that's not nice. I was going to say, Ashley doesn't really need a job, does she? All his money coming in for everyone. But that's mean. I don't know Ashley. She's probably a very nice woman. So Jill and Ashley are off to Latin America, and I hope they have a nice trip. If you own a home or property, here are 2 reasons you never want to become the victim of home title fraud. Reason 1, when a cyber criminal worms his way onto your home's title, he'll take out loan after loan using your home's equity. Then he'll vanish, leaving you to prove you didn't commit the fraud. Reason 2, you could be a victim of home title fraud and not know it for months. No agency notifies you or asks if you sold your home or added someone to the title. You'll find out when the collection calls start coming for loans you never took out. Nobody knows about how to help stop this crime more than Home Title Lock, America's trusted leader. I urge you to go to HometitleLock.com, read the testimonials from retired FBI agents and others, then register your home address to see if you are already a victim. And when you protect your home, tell them Bill sent you for 30 free days of protection. So please go to HometitleLock.com, HometitleLock.com. Okay, let's get back to the media, which is just at its lowest point in history. I mean, so good for me, I have to be honest. It's so good for me because the worse it gets, the more people sign up for premium membership on BillO'Reilly.com. And we're not charging you a lot to do that because we want millions of people to come on in. Because if you're not fed up with it now, you'll never be fed up with it because it's ridiculous. The television news media and entertainment media. It's ridiculous. It's Mad Magazine. That's what it is. So for me, my business, I looked at I get a sheet every day, with all the business stuff for BillO'Reilly.com. I was looked at it like this today. It was like, thank you, you loons out there in the media, but we put on an honest product. Like me or hate me, honest product. That's what you're getting. All right, so CNN, this is Warner Media, Discovery, all of that. Oh, they're changing. Oh, yeah? Roll the tape.
Oftentimes it is African Americans who talk about racism. It is really a white cultural problem that white Americans have to come to terms with. Why is it that African Americans and brown and black people more generally are seen as the other or demonized so easily in a lot of our politics? We sort of talk about white supremacy, but it's also the ways in which people talk about folks coming across the border, the demonization that goes around about those folks, that somehow they also are a threat to Americans.
Now that is a correspondent for CNN, not a commentator. Nia Malika Henderson. Now I'm going to break this to Nia very, very gently. If you criticize an African American, a civilian, in this country today, you are canceled. You'll be fired. You'll be ostracized. You get it, Nia? All of this is just propaganda, madam. All right, second soundbite is our old pal Chuck Todd, who just lost his program on MSNBC during the week because nobody watches him, and they don't watch Jack Tapper, and they don't watch Anderson Cooper. They don't watch them. Okay, no one watches them, but they're still there, but not Chuck anymore. NBC gave him the hook during the week. Well, here's what he says. Go.
Well, Garrett, look at the way the right tried to weaponize the idea that the DHS was going to essentially try and attempt to monitor hateful rhetoric, right? They want to make it seem as if it's some sort of big brother, and it's like, this is always what the right does to appease the white supremacist movement by saying, hey, free speech, don't touch speech.
Yeah, that's right. We want to appease traditional Americans want to appease the white supremacy movement, according to Chuck Todd. I got to tell you, I've been doing this now 25 years plus. I have never appeased any white supremacists. I despise them. I don't like them. I took apart David Duke on national television, dissembled him. So again, Chuck Todd, oh, the Republican Party, a conservative, they really like these white supremacists. Oh, jeez. So it's an interesting story. It's gotten very little attention. Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, is feuding with President Biden. I love this. This is great. So it started last Friday, the 13th, when Bezos posted on a Twitter account, quote, "You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." I'm sorry, that was Biden. Biden posted, quote, "You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." And Bezos, the wealthiest person in the country, I think. I mean, it's a tie between him and Musk. All right, he said, taming inflation is critical to discuss. Mushing them together is just misdirection. So, yeah, so now they're back and forth. They don't like each other. Andrew Bates, the deputy press secretary to Biden, says that, quote, "It doesn't require a huge leap to figure out why one of the wealthiest individuals on earth, Jeff Bezos, opposes an economic agenda for the middle class." So Bezos hates the middle class, according to Biden. I love this. But the Washington Post is 100% liberal. They got a couple of columnists like George Will. I don't have to harpoon Will, you know who he is. But it's 100% left. Is Bezos going to change that? I don't think so. Listen to this. They got an op-ed guy named Brian Broom. He's an African American. And he says this about the abortion controversy, quote, "The same sort of thinking about race and birth rates now dominates the conservative Supreme Court. The leaked draft opinion isn't about protecting babies, it's about protecting whiteness, specifically white babies." So now Roe v. Wade is a race thing. The Supreme Court, the people who don't really want unlimited abortion sanctioned by the federal government, want to kick that back to the states. They're not doing it because they want to protect the unborn. No, they want to protect white babies, not black babies. This insanity. Now, if I'm Bezos and I'm reading this in a newspaper I own, I'm saying no. No, this does not meet intellectual standards. Nothing to do with freedom of the press. This is stupid, as Seth Meyers just said. But you can expect that to continue, and that's the age in which we live. Supply chain issues have been a catalyst in bringing high-tech manufacturing back to the USA. My tech expert and founder of Brownstone Research calls it the Great Recalibration, and he discusses it in his newsletter, Near Future Report. For the past 35 years, he has helped his subscribers safely navigate volatile times, and he also answers your most pressing questions, like how to protect your money from inflation. What are the implications of a new digital currency and the Great Reset? What will the Fed do with interest rates? And what is expected from the stock market in 2022? Brownstone Research has been at the forefront of nearly every major market move for the past 35 years. Let Jeff Brown help you by signing up for his newsletter today at a 75% discount. It's a 12-month subscription for only $49. Please go to jeffbrowntech.com. jeffbrowntech.com, jeffbrowntech.com. So I get thousands of pieces of mail, and I'm hearing about this ESJ, is that what it is? Something like that. Environmental Social Justice, ESJ. Apparently, there's a big conspiracy that ESJ people are taking over the whole financial industry. So I checked this out, and there is an ESJ involved in some companies. Some companies say we're not going to do business unless you're environmentally conscious and you have social justice tenets. Okay. They're a company. They can do what they want. I don't care. But is it a giant conspiracy that's going to come to your bank account or hurt your investments? I don't see it. I mean, if it is, if you have evidence that there's some kind of thing, I got to see evidence. All right, there are a lot of people very upset about this. Now, I have investments, as you know. I can't give investment advice. I wouldn't do that. You know, the stock market's crazy now, up and down, in and out. Biden administration very weak, very weak. So be very careful. But I don't think you have to worry about ESJ. And I don't know why these conspiracy theories, they get on the websites, the ideological websites, and the left-wing websites have their own and the right-wing have their own, and then they get circulated around and people get all upset. There's one on the World Health Organization, something like Michelle Bachmann is doing it. They're taking over this, they're doing that, and there's Chinese people buying American land. And look, if there's a threat to you, I will know it. I will report it. But these conspiracy theories, all they want is clicks. They want to scare you. So you click on and you read it. You've got to have sourcing, precise sourcing. That's why you come to us. That's what we do. We ferret out the BS, the propaganda, from what's real. And I'll tell you, if there's any threat to you, I will tell you. It'll be the first one. It'll be my lead story. Because that's my job, to look out for you. And we do it, I think, pretty well. Okay, so that is the No Spin News. Thank you very much for watching and listening this evening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Inflation now at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. A recession may loom. Our retirement accounts are in real danger. If you want to protect your future, do what I did. Call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They are the highest rated firm in the country, A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and thousands of satisfied clients. Plus, tell them O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. So don't wait, please call now, 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.